All right. I think we're live. As you may know, I'm John from Tesla Owners of Silicon Valley. We are obviously based out of the former headquarters of Tesla. We are actually also the largest club in North America. But it's been a privilege to be on this journey to kind of start the club 4.5 years ago, and obviously to kind of now even be doing some live streams and hopefully everyone has been enjoying them as we've been discussing various things from Tesla stock to awesome apps. This week we're going to do a more of a deep dive into the Tesla wheel design, how it was originally designed, and then just talk about the range efficiency, and then also specifically talk about a specific rim called the new Aero. I met Alex and Yuli. I actually met Yuli initially back. I can't even remember. It's maybe been 2 years now. He came to the U.S. We met literally in the front of my house. It was a privilege, and I saw these rims that I just could not get my eyes off of. And next thing I know, I'm able to meet Alexander. We met via Zoom, and then obviously in Austria last year. So been really cool to just learn about the new Aero and how it's just a lot more efficient. I used to have the 22-inch turbines on my Model X. I have the rims that you're just about to see literally in the back of Alexander's image. I have those, and it helped increase my range by almost 5%. So we're going to get into all that. But yeah, let me go ahead and bring Alex up. What's up,
Hi,
Alex? How's it
John.
going?
Hi. Good to see you again.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
as well. I'm looking forward. I know you're coming out even to the Tesla takeover at Harris Ranch on
Yeah,
February 18th.
exactly.
So
Yeah, that's next week. Yeah.
yeah. And what's insane is that so for those of you that don't know, Alexander actually lives in Switzerland. So it's not
Sweden.
like he's just in New York or something. He's literally coming all the way across the pond. And so really appreciate you taking the time to do that. But yeah, let's just kind of, how about just give a brief history of yourself and kind of like how you kind of came into kind of nerding and geeking out about like Tesla's wheel design, into like looking at range efficiency, and then obviously creating that beautiful wheel behind you. That's not fake. It actually kind of looks fake, but it's not. So yeah, just give us a brief history on
Only.
yeah, it's real. It's not a prototype. I have 4 of those on my Model X, but just fill us in on, because I think that's the amazing thing, with Yuli and yourself. Like, you guys weren't necessarily wheel guys. And so what kind of, what's your Tesla story? And then how did you kind of get into this? And then let's just, we'll jump into specifically the Tesla wheel design.
Yeah, sure. So, yeah, my Tesla story started in 2014. Um, I was actually planning to buy a BMW i3. So I booked a test drive of this car, and also just for fun, I booked a test drive of the Tesla, which was then in Sweden available for about half a year or something, or even less, I think. Yeah, and then yeah, the problem when you test drive a Tesla is that you can't really get it off your mind. So I wasn't planning on buying a car for that amount of money, but yeah, after I guess it was after a week from the test drive, I had to order one. Yeah, it's yeah quite insane. But so I think I got maybe car number 100 in Sweden or something quite early. So I got it end of the summer in 2014, and then the following year in the spring I got some really nice wheels from a well-known aftermarket brand, just to make it look a bit cooler. Which yeah, I've done always with other previous cars with combustion engines. But this time I realized that, oh, it really affects the range quite bad. I mean, when I got the car, I was choosing between the 60 kilowatt hour and the 85, and I bought the 85. But then these wheels made the range go back by 15%. So not all the way to the smaller battery, but quite close to it. So yeah, that made me really started thinking about the wheels and how the wheels affect the car's range. Um,
At that
yeah,
point, were you gonna go back to your old rims, or were you just like, you still wanted to look it cool, so you were just like, "I'll take the hit on the range." Like, what was
yeah. Actually, I started looking for what could possibly be available. Um, I couldn't find anything except maybe very expensive one-off wheels that I thought maybe could work, but I started contacting wheel companies actually to uh, convince them to pursue this, to make wheels dedicated for electric cars. But I didn't get any response really. So then it took,
Hold on, so you were actually hitting up companies. Hold on, were you thinking of, like, you would help them, or were you telling them you need to?
or out of self-interest because I also wanted to buy the product when it was launched. So, I mean, it's not the first thing on your mind that if a wheel is missing, that you will start designing it yourself. If you were not a wheel designer. So no, I just started to trying to convince wheel companies to make this kind of wheel. But yeah, nothing really happened, and then. Took another year, and I met the other guys that we founded the company with. One is a engineer, and he worked then at Scania Trucks and designing stuff that had to do with aerodynamics on that in that field. And also Uli, who the first guy is Rasmus, that is the engineer, and Uli, who is a car photographer and very into design. So then we decided to form a company and try to design a wheel for this purpose.
So
Yeah,
before we get further into that, because I don't want to steal that, right? Because that's going to be, let's talk about the Tesla wheel design. So I love the story, just like a lot of other Tesla enthusiasts, in somewhat similar ways of, like, when I got my first Tesla, I wanted to know where the community was and ultimately create one. And thankfully this is where we are today. But I think I love your story. It's like, you buy a Tesla, of course you want your Tesla to look unique, not necessarily like everyone else. And then, of course, the range is shot, especially like if you had a Model X 75D, or, a Model S or something like that with one of the smaller batteries, 10-15% is a big deal, right?
yes,
And
yes.
so it's a huge deal that, you thought of this. So obviously I think you go from there, you start thinking about the wheel design. So let's bring up, let's talk about kind of so these are some of the first, the twin
Yeah,
spokes.
yeah,
But
yeah. This
let's
is
talk about,
actually
give us the
yeah,
download on, the early days of Tesla's wheel design.
yeah. So they went with a really traditional design of the wheel. This is the base wheel, and this is actually my first car that I ordered. I just to find this picture, I searched my email for the order confirmation, and I got this picture from there. So they had this one. It's called a twin spoke, and they also had the turbine, which I guess everyone knows how it looks, the 21-inch. And they also had this very peculiar looking Aero wheel, which is this one. Yeah, you can move to that one. So yeah, this was I think a $2,500 extra, and it was not sold a lot.
And
I
this is
I'm not
ugly, man.
sure where it came from. Maybe it was to reach a certain range, maybe to reach 300 miles or something as a rated range. I'm not sure. It's quite interesting design. It's convex. It goes out in the middle, so it's kind of is pushing out in the airstream to try to have like a laminar flow past it. And it has the air ventilation along the edge of the wheel, which is the natural place to have the ventilation, because uh, the brake discs, they actually blow air that wants to come out at this place. So So quite good. It doesn't block the cooling air or the hot air from the brakes. But yeah, aesthetically, it's. I don't think
I
it's.
When I see this, I think of a Prius, honestly.
Yeah.
It looks like an ugly EV. So I think that there
Mm,
are some Model S's out there that still have this. So it's interesting how you are even talking about like the design of it. So I think does it actually make sense to have like the way it is right now where it's like not everything is flush? Does that actually help the range having it like kind of in and out, like when you think of how it's more in here versus out here? Does that actually
mm.
help the range, or does
I
that make
think
it
they want to make it as flat as possible, and but they you need to have something to make it into some kind of its design, you know.
Yep.
But generally, the wheel is. We can just talk about how the wheel arch is important. I think it's a general knowledge that the wheel arches on a car is about 25% of the total drag generated, because you have this perfectly designed body, and where the wheels are, you have to have the the openings for the wheels. um, and actually, if you think of the fact how drag is aerodynamic drag is actually increasing with the square of the speed. So if you go twice as fast, you get 4 times the drag. And generally, there are 2 times of friction that you need to overcome to keep the car moving, and one is from the tire, so the rolling resistant. But that's actually constant with the speed, so it does not go up. It's a linear curve. But yeah, so the aerodynamics is where you want to focus. And if I come back to what I said, that it increases with the square of the speed, you actually also have to think about that the wheel is rotating. So if yeah, maybe I can explain here. So the lower part of the wheel, yeah, it's out of the picture, but anyway, the lower part of the wheel, the tire is on the ground, so it's not really moving through the air at all. The center
Yep.
part is moving at the same speed as the car, which means the upper part is moving forward the same speed as the car is moving. So in relation to the car. So if the car goes 50 miles per hour, this part goes 100 miles per hour through the air, which makes it extremely important. The higher you get here, the more important it gets. And I think that's what Tesla, when they started evolving the wheel from that wheel, we can go back to the slides to the next picture.
Yep.
So yeah, this is that. Actually, the first one was the slipstream for the Model S. I don't have a picture of that one, but it has this flange along the tire edge, um, to make this surface as flat as possible, to make the air able to pass smooth as possible, where the wheel goes at this speed twice of the car.
Yep.
So this is quite interesting. The first 19-inch sport wheel there, that later was revised into this second design, where they made it probably quite more efficient. Um, but at the same time, it has a few downsides, because now they are adding weight at the
Yep.
place where it does the most damage. So as far from the center of rotation as possible, really. So weight more to the center would be less harmful than what it is now. That's one downside
Oh,
of it.
interesting. Okay,
Yeah,
so in this case, they're essentially adding no weight to the middle, and they're adding a ton of
no,
weight to the outside,
yeah,
right?
they're adding some weight out there. And the second downside is that this is where the brake air would naturally escape and get ventilated
Yeah.
out of the air, but instead it hits this flange and gets diverted down again or in again. So that's also, but yeah, I guess it works. I mean, compared to the base wheel or the cap on the base wheels, it has more ventilation because the Aero cap now that they have as the base wheel on all the cars except the Model X, right? The S also has this plastic cap over, and the ventilation is really only 5 small gaps, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Okay. So it's interesting because I think because this came with the Model 3, right? Would you
yeah,
say?
that's the optional Model 3 wheel.
Yeah, because it's like I guess maybe they felt like once they hit a certain range, it was okay for something like this. But yeah, I think it's just one
Yeah.
of those things. It's stuff like this that continues to. It looks good. Especially I would say the one on the right. It's starting to look really good, but it's also one of those things that really just eats away your range, right? But
Mm,
okay, but yeah, no, that's super helpful because it's like one of those things where it's like they're essentially putting no weight in the middle, putting all the
mm,
weight on the outside, which is obviously going to cause a
yeah.
huge, loss of range as well.
Yeah, not really loss of range, but it causes a loss of a slightly loss of acceleration. So because you have to accelerate the wheel into rotation, and that's where the weight is important, where it is. But we can look at also the Arachnid. They also did this thing too. They also like made it all over much flatter. It's almost like they melted it flat, right? So so this is also solid metal all over, which has another also downside, at least here in Sweden and in Northern Europe, where they put a lot of salt on the roads in the winter. So this salt water gets trapped inside. I think I have a picture of what it can look like. Yeah, that's
That-
all. Yeah, that's the. This is where the salt water gets trapped, and it then actually corrodes a bit the aluminium, making
So
it
just to
ugly.
be clear, is this the top of the wheel? This is like right where it's the actual rim where it's touching the tire. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's
Okay.
the inside of this flange. So to save some weight, they have this when they cast it, they have inserts that go into this area to try to save weight at least. Now, you can go back to the 22-inch. Yeah, this is the optional Model X wheel now on the new Model X, and the optional on the older X. So they also made this much more flat, and especially out in the area where it touches the tire. But here they put inserts, plastic inserts. So all those in between all the spokes, that's actually plastic.
Oh,
So that's
this is right here?
really, yeah.
Wow, okay.
So they click in there. Um,
Oh, I didn't realize that. So could you actually take them out and then it would kind of look a little more like this?
uh, I don't think it would look good. I don't think it looks like that
Okay,
because I guess,
interesting. I didn't.
yeah,
Okay, okay. And would you say that these inserts actually help with like the drag coefficient or the
yeah,
range? Or
exactly. Yeah, yeah, they
okay,
make a bit of a difference.
because it's almost like the same one, but all they really kind of did was obviously they changed the middle, but then they added
Mm,
in those inserts, like you said.
but I think they also got rid of the fan effect. If you think of this, it's called a turbine wheel because it looks like a fan, uh, and a turbine fan is designed to move air, which you typically don't want the wheel to do at all. You don't want it to move any air, or at least very little. And it's also that it's the left and right side is the same casted wheel. So on one side it moves air in, and on the other side it moves air out. which creates a asymmetric drag, which we will come to in in the comparison we made later on our wheel. So
Okay.
yeah, if we go back to when we
This
founded the company, then
Okay.
so we can,
Yeah.
yeah, we
So yeah,
yeah
it's
we
been so one, it's really cool, right? Because I think what I love about your guys' story is that you found something that you loved. It's just again one of those things you're like, all right, it's a real world problem. So you're like, how do I fix this? And so what do? You learn about something that you literally had because it's not like you were a rim guy. I mean,
oh,
and I want to make a correction. Sorry, I meant Sweden, not Switzerland.
yeah,
I'm a dumb American
correct.
when it comes to that. But no, like you're living out more on the countryside, so it's not like you're literally like you're not in a major city doing wheel design. It's not like you had a huge background in Porsche or working
Yeah.
at VW, and you see a problem and you go and you want to create a solution because it's just something you're thinking about, and so you're learning something completely new, and that's what I love about your guys' story. It's not like again you guys had this huge legacy auto background, but you were able to just come up with something that you guys about a new something that you were kind of really passionate about. Because were you passionate about cars before this too?
Yeah, I guess you could say
Okay,
I'm a car
okay,
guy, absolutely.
okay.
And I like rims, but I never thought of designing rims. But yeah, yeah, sure.
Especially because on gas cars, you don't really think about range necessarily either, right? You could just put
No, and
whatever you
you don't
want.
really reflect, and it doesn't affect the range as much as it does on the EV because the EV is so efficient, the driveline, everything. So every little difference in friction will create a difference. It's quite yeah. If you think of when it's raining, for example, which it does also in California sometimes, there's water on the road and so on, and just headwind and tailwind, you see how the consumption can vary quite a lot, right? And also depending
Definitely.
on the speed you're going. So
Yep.
in a combustion engine car, all these variations they get more blurred out because the efficiency of the dry line is much lower, and most of the energy will be converted into heat anyway. To the car creates more heat than it creates energy or the engine in a combustion engine car. So
Definitely.
yeah,
But let's get into your story. So you just start thinking about this, like what? Yeah, talk me through that journey. So you bought your car, you
yeah,
get new rims, and where does it go from there?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so when I met this guy actually at Midsummer, Rasmus and I met, and we started doing a few designs. I know this type of design would work quite well. Um, it resembles to many of the race car wheels that was used in the 70s and 80s and even 90s, where you have street car racing, right? Um, and also some other designs. So we started making models and we posted them on different forums. And quite soon, the third guy came in from the German forum. So that it's actually then through the Tesla community and the forums that we connected. Yeah, Tesla owners at that time were, I mean, even more into their cars. And yeah, they were often quite geeky guys.
Yep.
Um, so they wanted to discuss their cars and so on. So really active forums. Um, yeah,
So when you were coming up with your first couple of designs, did you already have like especially the one behind you, which I want to quickly just zoom in, so you won't really be able to see me. But that wheel design, is that something that you guys originally like you just had in mind, or how did you guys kind of like come up with, specifically that design?
yeah. We knew we want to have we want to close most of the surface to not interfere with the passing air, and we wanted to have the ventilation holes around the edge. They could be more the shape of the ventilation hole and the number of ventilation holes could vary, but we want to have them around the edge because the number one objection we got to making a covered wheel was about how does it affect the brakes? Will the brakes overheat and so on? So we knew the brake air wants to escape here naturally around the edge, so we want to have the ventilation there. We looked at the Tesla design of the Model S, which was the car that we started designing the wheel for first, and we looked at what kind of design elements we liked, and this shape actually we got from there. It's the silhouette of the tail light of the Model S when you see it from the rear, and it's also a shape that you can find in more places on the Model S. For example, the rear view mirrors, the mirror caps, they are also about this shape. We started to make simulations of this design and the other designs that we had, and we invited small groups of Tesla owners. We made a few prototypes. I will only show this design and the prototype of it because the other designs are not protected, and we still could make variations of those into future products. So if I show it, I can't protect them anymore. But this particular design of the ventilation hole here is not only the shape of the taillight, it's also designed to try to make the air pass smoothly. If you think up here is where I said where it's most important. So you have this very sharp, straight edge here. You will get here. You will get separation, so the air will not go in here. It will separate here, and go further this way. And this other side is slightly angled to bring out air from the inside. So the air from the inside will create a small cushion on this edge, where this air that comes from here can pass without hitting this edge. So it's an overpressure over this edge. So it's quite smart, really, how this is designed. Yeah. So
I think what was really cool about it, at least when I saw it, was it's directional, right? I think is the word as well. So it's like
exactly.
you can't just take those rims and throw them on. Like you actually, each side has a specific direction that you have to do. So if you don't put it on the right side, you'll really screw up your range. But it's those rims are directional, so it's very important what side you're putting each rim on. And as you said, especially, and again, I'm gonna just quickly just zoom in here. It's pretty insane just to think like how you guys thought about how should the air flow, especially at each part of that rim. And I think I don't know if we can if we want to jump into potentially one of your original prototypes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the first solid prototype we made of this wheel. You can see it's maybe 90% the same as this one, but a lot of the details were created afterwards. So I think it does not have the same angles in the holes, and especially in the center part, it's very different from the production wheel. We added, we wanted to have, you can see the bowl actually, that it's slightly concave in the middle to create this type of organic reflection that you see there. And also here beside me, you can see this. So so a flat surface can get quite boring. So we had to do something, and the concaveness can really create very, very good looking reflections. And also you get reflections inside the holes here because the light gets reflected back out.
Yep.
Yeah, but yeah, we can look at. I think there was a picture of the final design also. Maybe
Yeah.
it was not the next one. Yeah, yeah. So there you can see the evolution from the prototype to the final design. And I mean, can we even zoom into the middle maybe?
Yeah.
So
Look at that.
yeah, yeah, it's really nice. So here we have first it's the a PCD cover, so you can see the small seam between the rim and the plate that covers the bolts. Yeah, this one.
Yep.
Yeah, and that is attached with 2 screws. And to hide the screws, we created this ornament that has a knurling pattern, a pattern you would find maybe on like a camera lens or like even a gun grip, something like that. So yeah, really almost like a jewelry looking piece there, and it has a chrome that's covered with a dark clear coat, so it's a dark chrome, and we have our logo, small logo on the side there.
Yep.
Yeah, and
And even
yeah,
even to get into it too, you guys have this small little hole. I don't think you can see it on this side, but just to be able to
no,
pop it open,
exactly,
um,
yeah,
so it's just like something that's kind of like hidden on here because I had to put on new tires the other day, and obviously the guy that was doing it didn't know. And then there's just this little hole that you essentially can take a screwdriver or
yeah.
something, just pop in.
Yeah, yeah. And there's a special tool that we supply that is used for this. So it's a small slot. It's actually under the logo there, and the center cap here in this picture is our own that we supply. But you can also use the Tesla center cap because it's the same form factor. Um, so you can have, and those are available, I think, in 3 different coatings. So you can really play around if you want to have a very unique look. You could have this the chrome center cap on the black wheel, or vice versa. I mean, the wheel is also available in silver, dark silver color, and then you could have the black center cap. So it's really nice, interesting.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think you thought a lot about it, but I think even if we look, let's just zoom in a little bit here. I think in a lot of that area you were talking about specifically,
Mm,
where the air can hit it. Again, these are directional rims
mm,
where the air can hit it, kind of falls off, and then kind of hits. Maybe like the air will be coming off here, and then kind of
mm.
easily can again go up and over the rim. And I
Yeah,
think that
yeah, it's the
those
other way
specific,
actually, but yeah,
yeah,
the
yeah,
top,
maybe I'm
the top here is the front of the car, you would say. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. But
yeah.
yeah, just I think the way you guys thought about exactly. Yeah, I was thinking maybe I should be on this side. Um,
Yeah, or we can go to the top of the rim. Could you zoom into
yeah.
the
Oh
top?
yeah. Okay. Let's. Oh yeah. Exactly here.
So the front of the car would be to the right here, I think. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. No. I mean, I think all of those details are huge, and obviously
Mm,
you can see even as we just like look literally what's behind you. I mean, it's just it's a beautiful rim, right? I think you can just
yeah,
tell that.
thank you.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about here, we can just jump into this. Did you want to talk at all about
Oh
anything
yeah,
towards this?
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
this
That's
is
great.
kind of like the new Aero difference. I think they have the
Mm,
side by side comparison.
yeah.
And
So this,
I've personally, I'll let you get into it in a sec. I have personally just witnessed the range increase, especially because the turbine rims are very, very heavy, but also too they have a lot of openings as well. And again, I had a 2018 Model X, so it's not the latest rims right now, but I definitely personally have seen the difference here. But go for it.
yeah, yeah. So this is actually a very powerful simulation that we paid an external part to make for us because we made in-house simulations, but in order to get really good resolution and also like a simulation that has a timeline that has several almost like frames on a film, right? So we had to pay to get this done, because we also wanted to get this verified by a third party, so to speak, so that we could show, if someone was really interested, that it had been verified by a third party company. And this company EXA was actually used as a consultant to Tesla when they developed the Model S design. So it was later bought by Dassault, which is a big French firm. But so they had both a simulation software, and they also sell simulations because they have access to a big computer cluster where they can make these very advanced simulations. So let's get into this picture. So the top part is our wheel, the TNA Racer, and the lower part is the Tesla turbine wheel. And it's the first, it's the Model S, I think. It's the facelift, at least. Yeah, it's not the Plaid, but and as I said before, the turbine wheel is designed like a propeller, like a turbine fan. So it's designed, or this type of design is imitating a propeller that is designed to move air. And here you can see really that it moves air in on one side and out on the other side. And it's really clear at the wake behind the car, where you have more air trapped under the car on one side than on the other. So this asymmetrical wake that you see behind the car will actually make the car go slightly to the side. You will have a side force on the car, and it will be appearing more and more the faster you go. But so it's a quite open wheel design. It's designed like a turbine, so it will move air, and it's not directional. But our wheel is designed to move as little air as possible. It's very closed. And since it's directional, we could really design the ventilation holes to purposely move just the amount of air that we wanted, just to like grease the area with air, so to speak. Yeah, so super nice and really clear comparison.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah,
when
thanks for
we when
explaining
we
that. I think initially I didn't fully understand this, but it makes sense given, and it actually is kind of weird, especially with the fact that it seems like it gets worse specifically on one side. So again, I
exactly.
don't know. I'm only thinking. I'm wondering, does that make one side wear versus the other more so than one side? But either way, it's
Actually, it would actually a little bit, and also it lifts the car a bit on one side, so it creates like a
wow.
twisting of the body. So the car would be a little bit lifted on one side compared to the other if you go really fast.
Interesting.
But
Okay.
So, but I guess they realized this when they redesigned all of the bigger wheels to be more flat. As you saw, the latest Arachnid is really flat, and they cover the outer area a little bit. But that's did we have one more? And also this
Here, let me zoom into you real quick. Okay, go for it.
like we talked about how the drag, the aero drag increases with the square of the speed, right? So if you go twice, you get 4 times the aero drag. That's makes the wheel design to aero wheels really important, also to the top speed, because the top speed of a car, if there was no limit of the RPM or something, it would be the point where the full power of the engine or the motor is equal to the drag, so, or the friction, which is both the drag and the friction against the tires, right? So you basically go into a wall of air and when this wall of air is is equal to the top, the peak power, or the peak continuous power of the motor, which is quite far from the peak power.
Yep.
Electric motors, they have a peak power that can be achieved only for a few seconds. So that's not gonna make the car define the car's top speed. But yeah, this really, and I know when Lucid made Lucid, the other EV company, they
Let's not
made
talk about them now.
yeah, we don't want to talk about those, but yeah, actually interesting when they wanted to test the potential top speed of the car without any limit of the RPM. They designed one-off wheels that looks a bit like our wheels actually. So they try to cover the whole thing, and this achieved. They had a top speed of, I think, of 235 miles per hour, which is almost 380 kilometers per hour, almost the top speed of the McLaren F1. I think it's only a few miles difference. So yeah, that's also interesting because yeah, many people think that the air wheel, because it's often slightly heavier than a spoked wheel, that they will sacrifice performance, but they will actually get much more efficient in higher speeds, and they could potentially have a higher top speed, but usually the top speed is limited by electronic limit of the RPM. So yeah, quite interesting. Also good for performance.
Yeah, no, it's interesting how, again, partially your design even ties back to some of the things that, like Lucid and what they're trying to test to see, about how the range is going to handle, especially at those top speeds, right?
Mm.
So
Yeah, and I
let's
mean
move.
even the plaid wheels now, the one that is included in the car, it's almost fully closed. So
Yeah. So here, I think is just a quick look. I mean, you kind of already went into a lot of details on this, but this is kind of
mm,
like how the rim looks without. So if you look here, so this is how the rim looks after you put on all the stuff. But if you want to look at the rim, before you add on all of the things behind, like that are listed here, this is essentially what you have, right?
yeah. So it's it goes in quite a lot of work into this wheel set, to designing all the different parts. And yeah, because we wanted to create this very smooth, very designed surface. So these are the PCD covers are the biggest part, except the wheel there, which goes on over the bolts, and then yeah, even the small screws are in this picture, and then you get the ornament, and then the center cap that clicks in, which
Yeah,
you can
no,
replace by
it's
your Tesla center cap
yeah,
also. And yeah, that's also the toolkit that's included to assemble and disassemble the wheel. Yeah, and we sell this now worldwide. Actually, we sell them most. Still, our biggest market is in Europe, and especially in Germany, where they like to drive fast, and they they have the autobahn with a no speed limit. So yeah, they probably get the most out of air wheels like this.
yeah.
Um, yeah,
Okay.
but we sell more and more in the US, and we sell them from our site straight to consumers in the US, and including tax and everything.
Yeah, and you guys ship to the US. I think someone had asked that. Obviously, I received
Yeah.
mine, but I know several others like Tesla Raj, and other. I think it was the president of the Alabama club. He got a pair as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so he saw mine. I think he had known about it. I had talked it up, and he bought a pair as well. But so yeah, you guys ship pretty much all over the world, but specifically U.S. and all of Europe, no problem, right?
Yeah, and we use UPS, and to the US, it's the shipping time is maximum a week. It's supposed to be, I think, the next day, but it, it, it even though we supply the customs with all the papers, it usually takes a few extra days.
Of
Um,
course. Yeah.
yeah, so
Did
if
you
I say
did
a
you
week, I will under promise and over deliver, right?
Yeah, exactly. Versus next day, you tell me next day, man. Hey. Did you want to show the next picture now?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
exactly. It's
All
the
right.
new wheel design that we, or the second wheel design that we.
Yeah, so before I show it, it was really special. I again met Alexander for the first time back in July when I was at the Silent Rally with the Tesla owners of Austria, and he brought this car, not this specific car, but he brought your white Model 3, I believe it was, specifically with these rims. And I fell in love all over again. So, but yeah, let's bring it up here.
Yeah,
So talk to
yeah,
us about this. Like, what led you into this design? And again, I'm probably going to zoom in a little bit here, but cool license
sure.
plate. Go to Mars, by the way.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, yeah. And actually, in Austria was the first time we had working prototypes of this wheel, a full set for a car. It was last summer, so it's now 6 or 7 months ago, right? Um, and yeah, this is we started working on this quite early on. Actually, we I know I wanted to make a wheel that's composed out of two materials because a lot of people are really focused on the weight of the wheels because that's what they've been told for, I mean, 20 years from all the wheel companies that you should buy a very light wheel. Uh, and naturally, a wheel company that can sell a lighter wheel also will make more profit because the lighter wheel is has less metal and will be actually cheaper to make, and you can charge more if you stay with the same technique. So this is actually behind the Aero disc here, which is actually a carbon fiber disc, and it's a 10 spoke wheel. So just like the base wheel on the Model 3 is also a 10 spoke wheel, which Tesla said at some point, I think it's the lightest wheel you could design is by 10 spokes. And then they have this plastic cover that clicks in. So behind this is also a 10 spoke wheel, but we wanted to show both materials. So we wanted to show the spokes partly and make use of how metal can look, how it can reflect good, and how it can be uh, uh, made more sharp than plastic. And so we wanted to make like a contrast between the two materials, and the disc obviously as light as possible in carbon fiber to cover most of the area to achieve the aerodynamics. Um, and if you go to the center of it, it's actually basically the same as the current wheel or the racer wheel. So all of the parts there are actually the same parts. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. And you actually even have is the name of the company too.
Yeah, labeling. It's also here, quite small, but this is the limited edition Onyx wheel color where, yeah, you can't really see it actually. Maybe if
Yeah,
I,
no worries though.
now you see
Oh,
it.
there it is.
Yeah,
Okay.
here's the
Y-
labeling.
Yeah,
So
okay.
one of the perks of the limited edition, but also this satin black color, which is really nice. The other black is a metallic black, which brings more, I think, more vibrant in different lighting conditions. But many people want it to be more black, more dark. So yeah, yeah. But
Yeah.
the new wheel we also need to make like yeah, as Tesla calls it, the machine that makes the machine. But in this case, the robot that assembles the wheel. So because it has it's screwed in with a number of screws from the backside, and this is something that we will have to automate to make this wheel in the price point that we want to sell it. So that's what we are currently working on. We are making our own building here. The foundation is actually finished, and the building will arrive in I think now, yeah, it's next month in March, and then for the inside also, yeah, I think in
No,
the
that's
summer it can be ready, and I
okay.
think yeah, then we can invite people over to have a look.
Yeah, no, well, looking forward to it. I mean, I think this is yeah, you guys are doing a lot. So it was cool, again, to be able to see it in person. I really enjoyed that, and I may be able to show a video of it, but we'll see about that. But
Mhm.
okay, I think,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
and
think
then
that's it about the whiz. But yeah, I will actually bring a car to the Harris Ranch next week. The meeting it's between all the clubs in California, right?
yeah, the majority of them. So we
Yeah.
have Central Coast, San Diego. We have the Tesla Club SoCal, our club, East Bay, San Joaquin Valley, and Santa Clarita Valley. So yeah, it should be a good turnout. But yeah, you'll have to join us in our caravan. We'll be caravanning from the Bass Pro Shop at I think at 9:30 that morning.
Mm.
So
Yeah, I read that. Yeah, yeah, I'll be there. And also, we
yeah,
will have a car coming up from LA. So we will have two cars, and yeah, I'll
and
be
mine.
there to discuss Tesla and answer all the questions and show the wheels to everyone that's interested.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
so we have
also
a
I will
couple.
probably have some coffee mugs to give out. You can come ask for them.
Yeah, I might need some of those, but
Yeah.
there was there was a couple of questions that came in. From
Sure.
your perspective, what brand or tire is the most efficient?
Yeah. In Europe, it's actually labeled on all the tires. It's a regulation thing from the European Union. So they have this classification. It's a scale from A to E, I think. They remade the scale a bit and
Oh, interesting.
pushed it like they. I don't. Maybe you have it. We also have the same thing on like appliances for the home, how much energy they consume. So yeah, but I think in Europe the current most efficient is the Michelin Primacy 4. But I think it's labeled different in the US.
Interesting.
It's called the Primacy something MXM or something.
Okay.
They label the tires differently, and
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and I think partly they have a little bit different tires because the climate is a bit different. Yeah,
Yep.
but the Michelin Primacy 4, yeah.
No
And
worries.
also, actually, the Tesla labeled tires are often very good. So the ones that has the TO label, that's original equipment. Those are
Yep.
also quite good.
All right. Another question we have, you can see it down there. Have their wheels been tested to match or exceed Aero performance of Tesla's Aero's wheels in efficiency, like aftermarket EV validated their EV01 Aero wheels?
Mm. Yeah, we did the validation. Actually, the simulation, I think, is the best validation you could get. We also rented on several occasions these oval race tracks that are used for different types of testing. Um, but it's quite hard to use those. I don't really trust the outcome of these tests. Um, I think the simulation is the best. The second best would be a really long test, like a full year of driving the same driver, the same workplace, the same home, where you drive one wheel for a full year with all the different seasons, and then drive for a full year again with the other wheels or wheel. So that we did also on. I did on the Model X. I had the Tesla wheel for 1 year, and our wheel. It was a Model X 75, and I think that the difference was actually more than you had. I think the difference was I didn't want to put it on the website. I think we say max 7% on the website, but I had more than that. Yeah, but it's also different tires, but actually generally, yeah, I think, yeah, we didn't test them against, or the question was, yeah, they tested. I saw the video where this EV1 wheel was tested on a track, just like we did. Yeah, but the thing is, what we encountered, if you take the same wheel and drive a test on this track, let's say you drive what could be possible, like 10 miles, and then you switch and take the other wheel and drive 10 miles, you get different results. But if you keep the same wheel and drive another 10 miles, you also get a different result. So that's where you realize
Yeah.
you can't really trust it, because you had the same car, the same tire, probably the same weather conditions overall, but even then you get different results with just driving at the exact same distance, this exact same track. So then you realize actually the car itself has built-in variations that you can't counter in. So
Yep.
yeah, it's about the heat, the temperature of the battery and the drive line and everything, and the state of charge. So yeah, I don't really trust the oval track testing, even though we did them a few times.
Yeah, no worries. Well, I think that was it. But I think, again, I'm just gonna flash up these beautiful rims in the back. Obviously, you can check out the new Aero, specifically the new Aero.com. We also have, if you want to follow them on Twitter, it's new_Aero, at new_Aero. So, and if you're coming to the Harris Ranch, or probably, I assume you'll probably be back at the takeover as well.
Yeah, for the summer, definitely.
Yeah. So we're the Tesla Takeover. It's a 2-day event this year. Make sure to check that out. That's on July 29th through 30th. And then the second one is what Alexander's talking to. So if you're local, or if you want to come from all the way from Sweden, again, sorry for the mix up about Switzerland. I don't know why.
We're very used
But
to
yeah,
that.
so
Yeah.
don't let me live that down, man. I'm never gonna forget the country that you're shipping these from. But
It's forever in this video.
yeah, I just need to think of Tom and you being in the same country, because that just will. Tom runs the West Sweden club, but
Yeah.
either way, yeah. If you want to come check out what these rims look like, if you ever see me in person, you'll obviously, they're on Fuad. But if you also want to meet Alexander specifically and talk more about these rims, again, chat with him. On February 18th, we will be meeting at Harris Ranch at 12 p.m. Get a great steak dinner there. It's going to be awesome. Again, there's like 6 or 7 clubs from all over California that are going to be there. And then again, the Tesla Takeover, which we're expecting. Last year we had about, we sold over 1,800 tickets, but when you included kids, it was about 2,200. We're hoping for close to 3,000, if not more, this year. And who knows, maybe we double. But I would rather shoot for a more attainable number than sandbag and say I want to get 4,000. But yeah, it's just come check out the new Aero, see what the difference is. I personally can attest to it. But thank you, Alexander, so much for just going into the weeds, talking about the Tesla wheel design, and kind of like your journey, Yuli's journey, Rasmus's journey as well, and how you guys all met. And again, what I really loved about your story is that, what happens with most of us, you buy a Tesla, it impacts you in a different way. For you, again, you saw a problem, and what did you end up doing? You went and did a bunch of homework, met the right people, talked to the people on the forums, met people like Yuli.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, you have something that just looks outstanding. So
Thank you.
again, thank you
Yeah.
for your time. I'm going
Yeah,
to make
thanks
sure
for
that
inviting me, and
so I'm going to make sure the link is in the description, and so this will be a good, hopeful resource for everyone that is looking to buy a pair of rims, or more importantly, improve their range without losing, without having something ugly. So,
yeah.
all right. But yeah, thank you again for your time.
Okay,
Appreciate it.
yeah. Thank you very much. Okay, see you next week then.